us on Girl Crush Country, where we are obsessed with women making country music. I'm Jess Wright in Nashville, and this week's guest has a unique style that I'm a little envious of. A TikTok following I'm a lot envious of, and a new cookbook that everybody is envious of because it's already number one before it's even out. That's right, it's Hannah Damn Dasher.
Girl. Who are you? I'm looking around there and see who you're introducing. Like, who is that? You give me a lot of credit, but thank you for having me. And I love this Girl Crush Country thing you've got going on.
Yeah.
More power. Yeah.
We're so glad that you're here. And there's so much I want to talk to you about. And we're going to get to the new music and the new cookbook. We're going to get to all of that. So there's a question that I usually ask in a flash round at the end. Okay. And the question is, and I'm not going to ask you because I don't even know if maybe you could answer it. The question is whether you would rather write with Dolly or Loretta.
Loretta, 100%.
And I thought you were going to say that. And I know that your style comes from Loretta. Some of your sound comes from Loretta. Probably a lot of your sound comes from Loretta. But I've also seen you described as Dolly with a cocaine vibe. You know who said that, right?
It's Leanne Phelan or who?
I think it was Darren Johnston.
Darren Johnston has said that too, yeah. I love that.
And I remember I was interviewing your fellow bell-bottoms vintage style friend, Lainey Wilson, back in 2021. So she was first coming on the scene. And she was telling us how you wrote her song L.A. with her. And she said, she's one of a kind. Once you meet her, you'll never forget her.
Mm-hmm. That's so sweet.
Has vintage always been your style?
It has.
Were you dressing like this in high school?
Well, you mentioned Dolly. When I was a little girl, there was Best Little Whorehouse in Texas was on the TV as a rerun because, I was born in the late 80s. Then that movie obviously came out 10 years prior. Anyhow, but I was just taken by, I love Burt Reynolds always, but I was just taken by Dolly's tight-fitting, flashy Western wardrobe, and I love silky nightgowns. And of course, she had a nice boudoir set in that movie and whatever. So I just took to that as a child. And anyhow, when I could afford to dress that way, I decided just to pick things like that flatter me the most. The big collars. Elvis is also a big influence too with my fashion. And but yeah, I like things that flatter my healthy figure. And I inherited the furniture and that nobody wanted of my grandmothers and my great aunts. And so I've just made it my thing.
I live how I look. There was a girl in my middle school who, one of the middle schools, I moved around a lot. So I don't even remember. I remember her name was Michelle, but she dressed vintage, like she loved to thrift, and she dressed like sock hop all the time in middle school. And I think about her so much, like I wonder if she's still dressing like that. And so so then I'm like, I wonder if Hannah was like dressing like this in high school. Like if everybody was like, yeah.
I didn't have any vintage clothing in high school. No, I just wore whatever I don't know. I didn't really get into brands or whatnot. But as soon as I discovered more of me and, got comfortable in my own skin, and I could afford to dress the way I wanted to, I did. But I've always been a little thick in the thighs. And so I like to I just choose things that flatter me. And it just happens to be vintage clothing, and more power to you.
If you love what you love, that's what you should do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whether it's in style or not, if I like how it looks on me, I'm going to wear it.
Love that. Now, as you know, Girl Crush has started because of the struggle that women have getting included in airplay and playlisting. And while the flavor of country music that's popular at any given time is cyclical, sometimes it leans more pop, sometimes it leans more traditional, I feel like women who are, giant air quotes, too country have an even bigger struggle. Has that been your experience?
I was at a label for 4 years, and unfortunately it was during the whole quarantine COVID era, in the middle of that. And so I never got the opportunity to even go to radio, which a lot of people find mind-blowing. They can't believe that when I tell them that. And I'm so blessed that I've been able to have a career and a touring career in spite of no terrestrial radio play.
Yeah.
Never met our radio staff at RCA Sony in 4 years that I was there. So all that to say, Am I biased? I mean, I wish that they played more great country music, whether it's female or male. But I don't think I really got a shot to really get a chance to complain about it either, if that makes sense.
Do you consider yourself an outlaw?
I feel like one. I don't necessarily want to be.
Is that because of the label? Like, was that your villain origin story?
You know what? I brought a lot of my. I've made my own bed in a lot of ways, Jess, but I've always marched to the beat of my own drum, and I have forged my own path, basically. You know, I love rock and roll. I love country music and the traditional country music. And I just wanted to make a way for both of those things to happen. And so when you come to a live show, you get a really greasy, soulful country rock experience. And we haven't always captured that in the studio in Nashville because they're used to putting out a product and it's got to be really polished and slick and clean, and that's not what I do. So if me liking a not polished, greasy rock and roll vibe makes me an outlaw, then by God, I reckon I am. You know, I just did a thing about Waylon for his 50th anniversary, the Outlaws record that just, you know, got 50 years last week. It's crazy.
That's
anyhow,
insane.
But I've always said if when I was a little girl, I dreamed I died and came back as Waylon Jennings. Isn't that crazy? I've always just felt some strange connection to him, but I appreciate guys like him and Willie Nelson and Loretta just sticking to their guns. Patsy did it too. She gave in and it made her famous, but I just appreciate my heroes for doing things like that, and I just have to kind of discern when I need to step down and when I need to stand up.
Do you want another record deal at this point? Would that be beneficial to you?
I wouldn't turn it down. I'm not pursuing it either. But
it would have to be on your terms.
That's a great question. Yes, I would rather go turkey hunting when all the gobblers are in the field, if that makes sense. I'd rather them come to me. I don't want to go begging or asking for anything. And it's a marriage, Jess, like anything else. It's got to be the right situation. And it's got to be the right situation. There have been a few that have sniffed around in the last couple of years. But anyway, I reckon we'll see.
Okay. We're going to keep an eye out for that.
Thank you for that.
So you've been making music on your own, putting some stuff out independently, and you've got a brand new song out now, Waffle House.
Lord
Tell us
help.
about it.
We pulled this thing out of the vault. It's a funny little ditty that I wrote with Mark D. Sanders, good old Hall of Famer and big J.J. Cale influence. He is just a gem. We giggled the whole time. I wrote this thing 14 years ago and and I've waited for the right moment to pull it out. And I really wanted to do a collaboration with Waffle House. It's a Georgia business and I'm a Georgia girl anyhow. And it was just fitting, in my opinion, with the cookbook coming out and then to put out this Scattered, Smothered, and Covered EP.
Which is coming out in
March. Absolutely. So this is the first of the releases from that project. And I wanted to pay homage to some folks that I love. And Waffle House is a very, it's just more of a modern day, don't come home a drinking with 11 on your mind kind of a vibe. Just insert a picture of the cornbread cowboy. Mm-hmm. As a poster child.
What else is going to be on that EP?
Ooh, I do a soulful tribute to Earl Thomas Conley, believe it or not, holding him and loving you. Okay. I'm really excited about that. And I don't want to give all of them away, but there's some funky country. And then I had to do a Tammy Wynette number. And it's the one I didn't want to do, but oh my gosh, the fans have been requesting it, my TikTokers and whatnot. And it wound up becoming my favorite track on the whole project. It just, something magical happened. But I did cut Stand By Your Man.
And you feel like you had to at this point.
Well, Stand By Your Pan. It was kind of obvious,
That's where we want to go next because it's 2020. Nobody's got anything to do but learn how to cook stuff and be on TikTok. And you're like, girl, hold my beer. You started this series, Stand By Your Pan. Everything blew up. how did that all happen?
That's basically it. The world shut down, restaurants shut down, as we know, during COVID, and my girlfriends and friends were like, I'm spending $1,000 a month on groceries. Oh my God, what do I do? And I thought, well, let me get online and teach them how to cook. Maybe I should just make the kitchen my stage. And that's just what I did. I didn't expect it to take off like it did. I'm so grateful that it did. But I mean, some of my heroes like Tammy Wynette, Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, like Loretta had Crisco endorsement. I mean, they were cooking dinner for youngins before hurrying off to play the Opry, in between going on tour. And I just wanted to show that it was possible to be a Joan Jett on the weekends and a June Cleaver at home.
That's so, I love that you have these recipes that are so accessible. You even say sometimes, don't waste your money on this. Use this thing instead, this cereal or whatever easy thing you can buy.
Yes.
And your videos are less than a minute long. Like, I will watch the whole thing, and I don't have any kind of attention span. So, I mean, when TikTok videos can now be 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
You still are like, get it done. Videos under a minute and the recipe super easy.
Well, I know that people have short attention spans and they don't really have the time to. I try to. The beauty of Stand By Your Pan and the beauty of the book that we've got coming out is where I take the recipes, classic soul food that took our grandmothers years to master, and I break it down for you, and so that Briley can cook like a Betty. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. And I throw a little bit of my humor in there because life's too short. And but also with this book, I know that we're all trying to be we're all really budget conscious right now. In the last several years, groceries have kind of gone through the roof. And so I share some secrets that I've adapted for years when I was a struggling artist here in Nashville. Some would argue I still am, but I'm so grateful that I can go into the grocery store now and buy whatever I want to. But there was for a long time, I've had a bare refrigerator for many years when I first moved to town. So I teach some of those good old Depression secrets that my grandmothers and great aunts and whatnot have passed down to me and that I've adopted that will save you money and time in the kitchen.
Did you ever dream in 2020 when you started putting these recipes up on TikTok that you would be, first of all, making a cookbook out of them, and secondly, that it would, before it's even out, be number one for Southern cuisine, number one for casseroles?
Isn't that crazy? Good heavens. Good heavens. No, I never dreamed it would go that far. However, I did write a check to my lawyer probably 10 or 12 years ago to say, hey, I want to copyright this slogan. I think it's cool. And maybe one day I'll make a cooking show out of it.
Stand By Your Pan?
Stand By Your Pan, right. I was thinking of TV.
Yeah.
At the time, which is obviously...
It could still happen.
It's obviously still in the cards, thank you, Lord. But yes, but no, I never expected to blow up on the internet. But a good friend of mine, Johnny Cloherty, had the vision and said, there's a new app called TikTok. You need to get on it. In 2018, and I didn't even have a ring light at the time. I didn't know you needed to, but thank the Lord, it started sticking.
And it's endorsed by Loretta Lynn's estate.
Yes, and Winona Judd and the Hag. Yes.
Junior. And speaking of the Judds, there's a recipe I have to know about. Naomi Judd's possum pie.
Naomi Judd's possum pie. Good heavens. We call that a chocolate delight back home. I think it's Ashley's favorite. But every recipe has a funny short little excerpt before it, just something witty to keep you entertained. But when I first met Winona Judd, it was on the carpet, the red carpet at the CMT Awards. This would have been 2 weeks before Naomi passed away. Anyhow, and I'm standing there interviewing folks, and Winona comes through and she goes, oh my God, Hannah, I love you. Mother and I have been glued to your videos during quarantine. I want her to meet you. Can we get a picture with you? And of course, I almost shit myself because I'm like, it's Winona. Are you kidding me? Like, dying inside. And so we get together, get a picture, and Naomi, without missing a beat, goes, bitch, you better snatch that wig off of your head. I'm supposed to have the tallest hair here. So I was hooked. Anyhow, but that meant so much to me. But I wanted to include her. I've got a Tammy Wynette recipe as well, one of her famous recipes in the book. But yeah, it's just a good old chocolate delight. And yeah, Naomi liked to cook. And Winona, I believe, likes to cook too. So I'm so tickled that she wrote the nicest endorsement. You'll see that on the back cover with a few others that I look up to.
I can't wait to see it. Stand By Your Pan, the cookbook, is out on March 10th.
Yes.
I'm so excited to
everywhere you buy books, Target, Walmart, Kroger, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the things.
Get you some.
Yes, and maybe the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Oh.
We'll see a little shop.
Okay. I see you. There's one more thing from TikTok that I have to ask you about, and that is the My Grandmother is a Hooch series. Because not only was my grandmother a hooch,
was she?
My mother was also a hooch. She would kill me if she knew I put that on the internet. But I come from a long line of hooches, so I got to know what's got you out here telling your Nana's business.
I love that. Well, first of all, let's just say that the word hooch is not necessarily an insult. Whore is. But a hooch is just a woman who enjoys the attention of men. It doesn't mean that she entertains all of them. I'll say that. So my grandmother has dementia, and we recently put her in the nursing home. And so to cope with that, I've decided to keep her youth alive and to showcase her wild personality. And my buddy John Crist, I don't know if you know the comedian John Crist, he's awesome, but a year or two ago encouraged me to do stand-up, which I haven't done yet, but I have started writing a routine, and I was just basically writing stories about my grandmother and thought, you know what, let me just go ahead and share this on the internet and just test it out and see how it works before I get up somewhere and make a fool of myself. And the first video went viral, and the next one did, and the next one. And so I've been incorporating that into my social media channels, and of course, Nana gets a few cameos in my cookbook as well. She also taught me to cook. And anyhow, I just wanted to, like I said, just keep her youth alive. Some of these, a lot of them are true stories. And then, of course, anyway, some of them are for your entertainment. I'll say that to keep these series going. But either way.
Well, your potential illegitimate grandfather, Elvis Presley, you do have the ring on. Okay.
I don't believe for a minute she met Elvis, or she might have. I mean, because think about it. He didn't drink. She doesn't drink. And if they were up north, which she did, I know that she fled to Chicago to live with my Aunt Lillian, running from a husband at one point in the late 60s, early 70s. So kind of made sense. If they were at a party, she would have been the only Southern girl in the room who also wasn't drinking from the bar. I don't know. It makes sense. But my mother was born in the 1960s, not in the 1970s. So all that to say, I'm sure Nana has more secrets that she will carry with her to her grave, but I will keep doing my research. But curiosity does kill the cat. You saw what I found in the train case.
I did.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Oh, heavens. But you know what? Your grandma was young.
Yeah.
Your mama was young.
Yes.
At one point. So what makes your grandmother a hooch?
I will just say that several of us in the family do not know who our father is.
Wow.
So
that definitely qualifies her.
We're coming from a long line of hooches.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I don't know if I should share this or not too bad, but I feel like I'll just say this. My mother has reason to believe that her father is not her father. And my grandmother had an affair that before my great aunt died this past year, she told my mother that who she thinks her father was. And I'll just say he's the last name of a famous songwriter, which is interesting. But I mean, some would argue I got the gift.
I will say,
so I don't know.
That my mother found her biological father's family and also related to a songwriter, performer, half of a duo.
Interesting.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, you know what, people, I'll conclude this section to say, talk to the old people in your family, girls, boys, like, please, because they are full of incredible stories and there's so much to find out. There's just so much you can soak in when your head's not buried in the phone. And, and it's just good to know where you come from so you can build upon that. Yeah. Especially with music too, Yeah,
for sure. All right, let's do this flash round that I like to wrap things up with. If a theme song played when you walked in the room, what would it be?
The Hollies, Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress.
Yes.
Maybe? Or It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll, AC/DC.
Okay. What's the first album you bought with your own money?
It was a Vince Gill or Shania Twain CD. You mean like vinyl or
whatever?
It was a CD, and it was it Jagged Little Pill?
Oh.
No, it was a Vince Gill record.
Okay. Mine were cassettes because I'm a little bit older than you, and it was Juice Newton.
Oh.
And Blondie.
To me. Oh, my
Juice
gosh.
Newton and Blondie.
Oh, my gosh. Queen Hearts. What's the... let's talk about Juice when we're not recording those, but oh, my gosh. I've been playing the B-side of her... of an album of hers, and I'm obsessed. But my parents were big Juice Newton fans, and I'm so shocked at the amount of people that have never heard of her.
But they know Angel of the Morning because of everybody else that's recorded it. So
They
infuriating.
do. They do.
What's the best career advice you've ever gotten?
Ooh. It's the rule of threes, which is 1, be a good hang. 2, bring it as far as talent goes. And 3, be a good hang.
Yes. Yes and yes. I love it. Hannah Dasher, you are so fun. I love you so much.
You are likewise.
Thank you for coming to Girl Crush Country.
Well, thank you for shedding light on another girl.
Yes, it's what we're here for. Y'all get her cookbook, Stand By Your Pan, on March 10th. Get the EP, Scattered, Smothered, and Covered, on March 27th.
Yes.
You can hear some of Hannah's songs on the Girl Crush Country playlist on Spotify. And you can find that most easily at girlcrushcountry.com, which is where you can also follow us on all the socials and sign up for the weekly newsletter. And please subscribe to us here on YouTube.